And Laura, do we need people to sign in tonight? Okay.
Ready? Greetings, esteemed board. It is an honor to speak with you tonight. I am Andrew Miller. I live at 8831 Mansion Avenue and have lived in Plymouth Township for 30 years. In the lawsuit of Northville Downs LLC versus Plymouth Charter Township, paragraph 19, I quote, Heise explicitly told John and Mike Carroll that both the Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees would absolutely vote as Heise directed them. In paragraph 20, I quote, Heise bragged that through his political influence and control, he would be able to secure the unanimous vote of the Township Planning Commission and likely a 6-1 vote from the Township trustees, noting that one vote he would not be able to secure would be Trustee Chuck Kermy, who Heise described as his nemesis. So members of the board, are you just a cog in the Heise machine without a thought of your own that Heise allegedly brags about? Or are you rational citizens looking out for Plymouth Township citizens? This evening, you have a chance to prove the Carlo brothers correct or show that you can be an independent vote that will support the taxpayers of Plymouth Township. We all support our fire department, and we are lucky to have Huron Valley Ambulance as part of the Plymouth Township team protecting us. HVA is a nonprofit organization that transports roughly 1,100 people a year for Plymouth Township at no cost to Plymouth Township. HVA approval rating is 94%, and not one of the Plymouth Township government has ever reported an issue to HVA. Because of the Huron Valley size, we have access to their special equipment like intensive care units and equipment that is that can handle highly pathogenic cases. During the COVID scare, HVA transported most of the COVID cases, allowing our paramedics to stay and concentrate on fire suspension. Last year, the nonprofit HVA collected $790,000 in revenue and spent $812,000 in expenses that resulted in a $22,000 loss. Today, you will be asked to approve 9 additional full-time paramedics, and later you will be asked to cover the cost of 3 additional ambulances and costs to support those workers. The cost of the 9 employees alone will be about $1.3 million a year, which is much more than the $790,000 revenue. Costs for 3 new ambulance and supporting structure will further push the project into the red. Our current no-cost service will turn into a tax burden. Even more importantly, our security redundancy with HVA will be gone and access to their special equipment will not be available.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
It's on.
Then you need to speak closer to it then.
My name is Paul Scholes. I live at 9115 Corinne in Green Meadows. Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, Clerk, Treasurer, and Trustees. Tonight's meeting will decide on our township's most important services, more specifically, our ambulatory services. Our health and safety is the greatest concern of our township residents. For many months, Mr. Heise, you have made it clear that the public-private partnership with Huron Valley Ambulance and our fire department would be dismantled, and a fully funded fire department would replace the current model. This decision will require purchasing a fleet of new ambulances, extensive increases in trained paramedics, trained ambulatory paramedics, trained ambulatory dispatchers, as well as maintenance of these vehicles. Unlike our current partnership with Huron Valley that costs taxpayers nothing, Mr. Heise, your decision to eliminate HVA will add to your long list of failures as a supervisor. And those who support your agenda, your puppets, will be held accountable by the voters. The foolish decision to disrupt a flawless system that is currently operating perfectly shows your malfeasance. I fully support our public safety and the best interest of our community. This decision is not in the best interest of our community. In fact, it's destructive to our community, just like the racetrack. This model will cost taxpayers millions of dollars and result in a significant tax increase. It's very irresponsible to force this upon our township residents. This will be another one of your career politician blunders. I would clearly rethink your agenda, Mr. Heise, before your vote on it tonight. And Mr. Dorshevitz, Mr. Vorva, Ms. Buckley, and Monahan, you have the power of your vote to stop this. Make our people your priority. Save HVA. And vote Scholes. Thank you.
Okay, no politics. That's right.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Paul Hood, and I'm from HVA.
Yeah.
Thank you. HVA is a long, successful partnership with Plymouth Township dating back to 1991. I worked the first paramedic ambulance out of the station in 1991 and have been heavily invested in the community ever since. It's important to consider the benefits of our partnership before taking on more costs for the citizens of Plymouth Township. There have been some misinformation, and I wanted you to have all of the information before making your decision and knowing all of the facts. HVA has excellent response times. We've met or exceeded the response time standard in our contract for the past 3 months, and our response time standard has been 92+% of the time. We provide service to residents at no subsidy and no additional cost to the township. While HVA is transporting patients, it frees up Plymouth Township's fire department's ability to respond to fire, emergency medical calls, mutual aid calls for neighboring municipalities, as it currently does. HVA transports patients to their desired destination. Many of our transports go to Trinity and Ann Arbor, allowing the Plymouth Township ambulances to remain in the township and not 35 minutes away. HVA employs high-quality paramedics to provide the level of care that keeps the patient satisfaction scores at or above 90%, which we have been for the past 30 years. We measure this, and we would encourage you to do the same. We provide a system of care with our neighboring communities that stops the fragmentation of the EMS system, allowing us to be able to cross borders and be able to take patients and lower our costs to everybody as a whole. We are nationally accredited, and I would encourage you to do the same. Plymouth Township will incur a number of costs by adopting the CBA tonight, which effectively cancels HVA's contract, although we currently have a contract in place with Plymouth Township until December 31st. These include hundreds of thousands of dollars of personnel, equipment, and rigs, all of which are provided at no cost today. I would encourage the members of the board to consider these costs and the quality of that HVA consistently provides for the last 33 years. We are in no way bashing the Plymouth Township Fire Department. They are good people. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Bill Pine, 46-year township resident. Tonight's agenda defines why you, Kurt, are a problem, a politician with politician self-serving mentality. The vote on the fireman CBA is a planned maneuver to box in candidates to support an agenda that you most likely initiated at the risk of the residents to gain the fireman union support. How unfortunate that you planned for your future, but put the absolute life or death of the residents' future on the table. You are aiming to put the township into the ambulance transport business. You profess that property and business owners have rights while you hypocritically try to push an essential free service out of our community. This is reminiscent of your business township confusion when the voters turned down park and being landlords. Are you looking for a millage vote? Have you revisited the 2010 study that recommended not getting in the ambulance transport business? Have you benchmarked firemen from Canton and Westland? The most salient point is that HVA provides the residents with dynamic retasking of ambulances after runs, which intrinsically no fire department can do. As a no-brainer, this service is free to the township and does not affect the tax base as extra firemen will. More importantly, to deny the community a backup system for your own campaign is dereliction of duty. The CBA test is a litmus test for all of you and a trap that, Kurt, you unwittingly set up for yourself. The agreement supposedly looks at the now and assumes that the township will not be able to get more firemen hires and that you are not voting on the future. Here's the gotcha. Your job is to plan for the future of the township, not your own future. Your job is to make health and safety a top priority. Your CBA initiative violates resident safety. Clearly, we have seen only one board member analyze this and plan for the future of our community. The economy changes, employment trends change. This you ignore. You've been trying to court the union and get rid of HVA for years. Kurt, you've painted yourself into a corner. A vote for the CBA for the 20-something firemen, most of whom don't live here, is a slap in the face to all 28,000 township residents. Our safety does not matter to you. Our future is no concern to you. This is a pattern of scheming and disregard, just like the racetrack, the waste treatment plant, and smart meters. Smart meters have well-documented medical concerns for everyone. Heart patients with pacemakers, brain injury victims, folks with central nervous system diseases, kids, and senior citizens. Should all of these be ignored for your uninformed, uncaring benefit or that of a few employees? Resident, it's time for a change of township leader that prioritizes resident safety concerns. Vote to rid our township of politicians and their teams conniving. But as all of you know, a yes note on the CBA as written reveals your hand and disdain towards residents and voters, as written. Those who don't ratify the CBA at this time can be heroes who see the long-term future implications for residents. Kurt, you can remain the problem maker. And firemen, we love you. It's just that we want to have this done on a rational basis. Thank you.
Hi there. Marcy Becker. Whoops.
Marcy Becker.
Tough act to follow. Mr. Supervisor, we are flooded with your campaign flyers, some personally placed on doors that are clearly marked no solicitation. What a waste of time and money when you could have attended the Concerned Citizens Q&A for free and done your pitch. Your board has provided us with endless entertainment this summer and drama in recent months. Cheeky comments heard on tape and distasteful rhetoric and now slander from which you will not recover. Look and listen. In this current climate, it is not what the Plymouth Township citizenry wants. You don't appear to be listening. Maybe you've outgrown this township you serve. We all will vote for a new board on August the 6th, and we will hold the new board accountable to higher standards. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Diane Belowis. Let me sign in here.
Speak loud.
Can you hear me? No?
And how did you hear that?
That better?
There you go.
Desperation. Desperation is the first word that comes to mind when I look at how hard you've been working to discredit and slander your opponent, Kurt Heise. I have never in my life received 4 political flyers from a candidate in one day until your disinformation arrived in my mailbox. You and the rest of your turnaround team, except for Bob Dorshevitz, were no-shows at the candidate forum at the library. You canceled your coffee and conversation at the senior center, but you have no problem mailing disinformation. It appears quite obvious that if you can't control the situation, you'll just be a no-show. I made a post on Nextdoor about the absentee ballots arriving in the mail recently. One woman asked for clarification on the racetrack issue. She said that she was told by you that the racetrack was a done deal and won't be coming to Plymouth. She stated that you told her the property is for sale and they're moving to Fowlerville. Is this the disinformation you and your team of door knockers are spreading in the township? This racetrack is far from the dead horse that you mention on social media. Why would anyone with the qualifications you boast about be so desperate to maintain their supervisor position when you could make more in the private sector? There appears to be some manipulation going on, and many residents are being left in the dark by your desperate attempt to keep the true facts from them. I personally feel that both you and Jerry Vorba are morally and ethically unfit to be reelected to represent the citizens of the township. The rest of your turnaround team and those that you are supporting for election, minus Chuck Kermy and John Stewart, are questionable as well. When a politician has to surround himself with a hand-picked board, we need to question why. The old saying, follow the money, appears to ring true here. There is far more going on than what we are selectively being told. Township citizens deserve far better than what we presently have. What has happened in the township for over a year now is so blatantly wrong that I can't just sit back and let it continue without speaking out.
Okay.
I possess a working moral compass, and I will continue to speak out because there appears to be a promise made that can't be kept unless you are reelected.
Okay, your
that
time,
wouldn't bode well
ma'am,
with
your
your
time is up.
slogan.
Your time is up.
Promises made, promises kept.
Thank you. Your time is up, and I know there are other people who would like to
Thank you.
speak. Thank you.
I'm Dale Bernhardt. For the past year and a half, I've observed that Supervisor Heise is extremely angry and vindictive. Pose any hint of opposition and he will slander you through any means. But that's not the scary part. The scary part is he manages our township affairs with this anger. His hatred for people with differing views drives him to irrational and make bad decisions. A few examples. Supposedly negotiations with Northville Downs were going nowhere, so the attorney for Northville Downs made contact with our board. That made Heise angry. So Heise had our attorney write a letter to their attorney. Then Heise recommended to rescind the PUD, which was set to expire on its own in about a month. That action prompted Northville Downs to sue our township for $10 million plus. Now Heise is hoping the suit is in pause mode until after the primary in August. The Planning Commission rejected Meyer's desire to build their store on 5 Mile. So Heise got mad. He gets campaign contributions from Redical, the developer for Meyer. He told Meyer he would help them sue our township. So they did, and Meyer got their store. Salem Township has had in their master zoning plan an urban services district since the 1980s. So a project within that district called Salem Springs needed wastewater disposal through Superior Township, not Plymouth Township. Heise got involved and helped convince the court to turn down the application to tap into Superior's line, which left Salem Springs no choice but to build a treatment plant. Residents on the west side, Heise is not your hero. He created this mess. Why? Because he has a large and long hatred for the developer and lobbyists. At this point, Eagle has no constructive issues with the treatment plant. Heise has lied to you. If Eagle says yes, Heise cannot stop this plant. He has no influence over it. Heise hires people to work with him that are the same way, vindictive. His economic development coordinator told residents that his job is to fill every available open space, and if you don't like it, he'll put something there that will make you cry. Sounds like Heise to me. Heise's anger and desire for retribution is not just a flaw, it is a defect, a large one, and it clouds his judgment, which in turn is going to destroy our community. Residents, this man is not fit to run our township. And by the way, Mr. Heise, I've collected many of your nasty, aggressive, and threatening posts about me. They are now with the police department. And I'll be waiting for your barrage of posts on social media tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Have him come up here.
Yes. Good evening. May I please get a show of hands if,
Okay. All righty, okay, all right. Okay.
Hello, my name is Eileen Coleman. I'm a lifetime resident of Plymouth Township. And here we go again. Here we go again, the same argument, the same thing coming up again with trying to get rid of HVA. We already argued this. How long ago was that, Mr. Heise? 2 years ago? We made all the arguments and you actually accepted the arguments. They are as follows. Keep HVA and keep us safe so the firefighters do not have to leave our town. They don't have to go to U of M or St. Joe's, far out of our town, leaving us empty and void of firefighters. HVA is, they're experts. This is their field. This is all they do is transport. This is all they do is life-saving care to patients in distress and in trouble. Firefighters have a whole lot of things they're responsible to do. It's much better to have experts available where this is all they do. We do not want our firefighters out of our town creating a void for potential emergencies. You will be held accountable when we're taken to close by hospitals and not given the best care. We want to be able to go to the hospital of choice, not St. Mary's. And you know that you're not as safe going to St. Mary's. I'm a nurse by background. I know their reputation. Don't vote for this.
Hi, Marianne Adams, 28-year resident, Ridgewood Hills. Kurt, in spite of what you were saying about the lawsuit being frivolous, the Northfield Downs lawsuit, I understand how much at risk this township is of having a gambling facility very near my home. While the property is up for sale, your claims about the Carlo brothers negotiating with Handy Township have been discounted by a call to Handy Township Supervisor Ed Alverson, who indicated recently that no one from Northfield Downs has contacted him regarding locating a racetrack in their township. Further, I will also continue to engage the Michigan Gaming Control Board to stay atop any requests for licenses from Northfield Downs. If you say that a motion to dismiss will be filed in a few weeks, as you indicated back in May, that's what we expect to happen, particularly if the civil case filed by the Carlo brothers is frivolous. You can't say one thing publicly and then say something different in other forums like our board meetings. We want transparency, honesty, and integrity, not deflection, name-calling, or bullying. Secondly, we are not on the side of Mike Cox or the Carlo brothers. From what I have learned personally about the horse racing industry over this past year, I am appalled by it, that it exists anywhere. And as my generation and the generation before me moves on, younger generations have indicated they are not only in opposition to this so-called sport, but if they gamble, they have a phone to do that. We know that Mike Cox has contributed to your political funds along with other horse racing entities, including the Carlo brothers. Masking political donations in exchange for favorable decisions seems illegal to me. So culpability abounds. The strategy around filing for dismissal seems to me to be centered around the election and any hope and a prayer that the property will be sold. Interestingly, we haven't heard anything more about Nels Hydrogen and when that facility will start breaking ground. Your comments recently about not being aware of the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of a racetrack can easily be followed up in that same document with governments deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. You are the supervisor. We have lawyers representing the township. But here we are, the residents, continuing to be left out as we were when we were excluded from one of the most consequential decisions that will forever impact our community. Northville Downs is not welcome in our community, and it must not cost residents dearly. This is your mess. Get it cleaned up.
It's a race.
Good evening, trustees.
Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Bob Miller. I want to shift gears and rewind back to the planning board meetings that seem to have a lot of the same members on it, on the Pomeroy Toll Brothers development. I need some clarification because that's basically right behind my house. It was my original understanding that the through road was going to be General Drive. And now I'm hearing, no, it's actually going to be East Side Drive. I'd like to know if that's being paid for by Toll Brothers or Pomeroy. Who's in charge of that road? Is it the county or Plymouth Township? And also, what's going on with the planning for the increase in traffic onto Ann Arbor Road and onto Ann Arbor Trail? It seems to me that that's never really been cleared up to my satisfaction. So I'm asking anybody on the board who would like to address that to please do so tonight. There's a lot of residents back there that would also like that information. And I don't think that we've really got a handle on it. I'm speaking extemporaneously tonight because I don't want to bore you with a lot of words. But I would like to give a nod to my friend Ken Garner over there, who, you may not know this, but was related to John Nance Garner, former Vice President of the United States under President Truman. Just a little backdoor. I thank you for your help.
Bob, here's my card. If you could send me an email in the morning, we can try to answer some of those questions.
Is there?
Like, we can put you in touch with our planner.
I'd also like the input from
Well, yeah, but we want to put you in touch with the experts on that. Okay.
Do you have the pen, sir? 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 Do you have the pen? Right here? The pen. Right there? Is that the pen?
Oh, he's got the pen.
Yes.
Well, watch out, there's the chief.
Almighty
Be careful.
Hello, my name is Joyce Janicki, and I'm back again. First, I'd like to share the numbers of U.S. racehorses, standardbreds included, who have died while in training, while racing, or in their stalls. There are 130 U.S. racehorses dead so far in 24, 895 in 23, 917 in 22, 982 in 21. More statistics are available. However, I believe you get this very very unpleasant picture. Most data on deaths is hard to come by, and most must come through FOIA, for these are not exactly the numbers racetracks wish to share with the public. And let's not forget that because horse racing is so incredibly abusive, a federal agency has now been set up to monitor racing practices. Yes, it's true that harnessed racehorses don't break down so often on the track. However, nearly every single one of them experiences bleeding of the lungs with blood running from their noses and mouths, and they have to receive Lasix injections in order to mitigate this. In fact, before harness races begin, there's a designated time for these animals to receive their Lasix. Standardbreds also endure much longer racing careers, which lead to damaged muscles, bones, and nerves. And these horses are also whipped while racing, and many develop harsh, visible welts. This has happened at Northfield Downs. Many harness horse races are abandoned when winning ceases. Aftercare is hard to come by, with horse retirement farms existing on grant money and donations. And with horse adoption programs generally operating with no oversight, it's now necessary to employ an accreditation process for aftercare facilities. Standardbreds are also sold to individuals who drive buggies, and these animals are sent to slaughterhouses in Canada and Mexico. There is generally not a happily ever after for these harness horses. After hearing all the above, this board must be relieved to have said no to Northfield Downs. However, sadly, this issue is not by any means over. This board has a history of reaching settlements in lawsuits, and the specter of this highly abusive entity being constructed in this community still looms.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we have Mr. Larkin. Do you want to just come forward real quick? I know you wanted to speak and you made a request before the meeting started.
Yeah, I'll just jump.
Okay, all right.
Hello, you guys know me. I'm Ken Garner. I live in Plymouth Township, and I'm here to make a complaint. People, you don't realize that years ago, you're looking at the picture that Mr. Kurt Heise and some of the other guys were there after we, the people, back in 2016, voted him and get him this job that he's got now. Okay? We got rid of about 4 people that year. Okay? He promised us that he would work with us. Okay? And he's setting up here right now complaining about people, Kermie and other people in this whole area. And I guess we have a girl running for...
Ken, we know each other. Can you address...
No, I'm going to talk the way I want to talk. No, I'm not going to listen to you anymore.
You have to address the board.
We listen to what you want, and you turned on us.
You have to address the board.
You turned on us. I wouldn't even be up here.
You have to address...
I would not be up here. I got along with you guys. You know I worked here for 5 years. So don't come up here. And this is what I'm trying to tell these people. We trusted you, and that's what I'm upset about. And you have the audacity to go down here and complain about all these people, and half of them are lies. Because you know that I got the biggest site here in Plymouth. I got over 7,000 people that read my stuff. So I think it's time that you clean your act up, stop going after Kermie, and stop going after all these other guys. It's time. And people, please, I don't mean to be this way, but this is what he's done. And this makes me upset when you work your rat off and do this to us. Thank you.
Okay. Larkin's not interested.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Kurt Heise, Mary Pine, Kurt Heise, Jerry Vorva, and others have demonstrated a lack of fiduciary duty to residents, simply put, a duty of loyalty and care. As shown by Kurt's Facebook challenges to Myers to bill him on advice to sue the township, and stating in the League of Women Voters interview his clear intention to prioritize the property rights of business owners while ignoring due diligence, zoning laws, and the master plan for the residents, with the resultant $10 million lawsuit. Kurt has mentioned a settlement date for this lawsuit, which translates to having a casino racetrack, our property values going down, our taxes and traffic flow going up. Since in a recent podcast, Kurt states that Northville couldn't find the need, nor Downs couldn't find the needed money, and that he is friends with their lawyer, Mike Cox, this leaves little to the imagination regarding the sudden denial and demand for $10 million to build the racetrack. Is there a word for this? With such blatant ethical disregard, the residents have a civic duty to be informed and vote accordingly, since the nonpartisan survival of our family community is at stake. You can't legislate morality, but you can vote out unethical and immoral behavior, such as Jerry's passing around a fatal MVA accident photo, which is illegal in several states, the chastising of citizens, the repulsive immature social media posts and the threats that started after the Northville Town meeting, continuing to this day. This creates disorder and negative culture in our community. We realize that time is a luxury for younger families as we raise 5 children. Now, as empty nesters, many have taken on the chaos that Kurt, Jerry, Bob, and their chosen have subjugated the township to, such as the east and west bookends of truck traffic with little data and no planning on traffic flow. The immature, threatening drama of social media sniping of business desires at the expense of residents, setting bad examples to youth. Kurt's erratic outbursts at the sewage plant meeting. Kurt and Jerry, this recreates discord in our community. Not a female trustee candidate who took over for Jerry for years when he had publicly acknowledged cancer and did so by knowing and following the law. This projection of your own smear tactics, bullying, and arrogance is shameful and ungrateful. Kurt and Jerry, you bring to mind the Wizard of Oz, conniving to pull the strings with board members and commission appointees and desperately attempting to deceive the residents. One can also see the scarecrow looking for a brain, the cowardly lion looking for courage, and the tin man looking for a heart. Data and analysis is not understood. Waffling to appease you, Kurt, is frequently apparent. Residents are chastised rudely. Chuck Hermie and John Stewart do not fit this analogy. Like Dorothy, the residents need their home again with no drama to the family community that we chose. We need to reverse the overreach of your career politicians. Chuck Hermie, Andrew Miller, Janai Stepp, Sandy Groth, John Stewart, Dan Callahan, and Paul Schutz understand the value of this community.
Good evening, Board, fellow citizens. The attack behavior against the opposition of this slate.
We need your name, sorry.
My name is Howard Hamrick, 10306 Normandy Drive, Plymouth Township, 25-plus year resident.
Okay.
You can certainly look me up on Google and see all my credentials. I'll be happy to share them at any point in time. So we need to get back a couple minutes. Did you interrupt?
I just said that. We just did.
If that's all right, if you, Chairs,
Okay, just wanted your name for the record.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
This mic doesn't work very well, but I can out-yell it, so it's no problem from that standpoint. The attack behavior of this opposition of the slate is running scared. You're running from your record. You want to take credit for low taxes. The tax-paying property owners are responsible for the low taxes. A property sells, the value goes up, they pay more tax. The treasurer knows this. A property improves on itself using a permit process on taxable land, the valuation goes up. The township gets more taxes. New construction on taxable land, more revenue for the township. Every year, if you look at your tax bill, you get reassessed and you pay more taxes. So what did this slate do with your money. Our police, fire, and emergency services are funded by a millage we passed. A millage we passed. We did not have you support that issue. We passed it on a vote. So we're entitled to these services because we're paying for them. Our service providers are a dedicated team, but without us, the law-abiding, safety-conscious, cooperative residents, their jobs would be impossible and almost unattainable to achieve. Take a look at some of the cities around who have problems. This is very clearly a Plymouth community type of situation. Here's what you are responsible for. Fast-walking project unit developments. These are nothing but zoning variances through the Planning Commission and by your vote. Failure to adhere to the master land use plan. Setting up an agreement to pay the state of Michigan back for property they took over from the defunct and the bankrupt city of Detroit, the Hoco prison and regional state prison a la Scott. That's state land. I pay state income taxes. I pay sales taxes. Why are we paying for cleaning up state land? Well, you came up with the agreement. That's why. You want to make us the hub for gambling in the state of Michigan. Engaging in extortion a la Mr. Cox in the lawsuit. Extortion's a felony, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know, in the state of Michigan. And then getting us into a $10 million lawsuit, which has been filed against us. You want to make us the shipping hub for the region. A la Haggerty Road, Ann Arbor Road, Beck Road, 5 Mile Road, North Territorial. Much pollution, trucks all year, all long. Soon to be more because there's another development in that same general area. If this case is lost, the lawsuit I'm referring to, we will pay. Northville Downs will have their track here, or if it's settled, they'll have their track here, and they're going to get the money to build it. Thank you for your attention. Stop-the-racetrack.com. Folks, it isn't over. Thank you for your attention.
I thought Larkin wanted to go.
It's up to him. I mean, I understand he has to get to another meeting, so.
You took the pen. Somebody took your pen. Thank you. Before we start, can you hear me? Just want to know what level that I need to speak at. Loud. Loud. Very good. Oh, I guess we did start. Okay. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to address the board and the residents of Plymouth Township. My name is Janai Stepp, and I've lived here for more than 25 years. Thank you to all the residents who came out tonight in support of HVA. Thank you for the residents who don't want the tax increase and have made their voice known today. We appreciate everything you've done to the people who spoke tonight. We appreciate the words that you said. We appreciate the facts that you've brought forward. We've heard so many things tonight, the reasons you don't want to get rid of HVA. You said that the residents, it will cost them dearly. You're right. It will raise their taxes. You're right. It will jeopardize their safety. You're right. This is not the right decision for Plymouth Township. We've also heard that the only reason it's being done is because the union is then going to vote for Heise. He was able to put their name on his literature for his campaign. So is this whole thing putting lives at risk worth an election? I just can't believe that, but the numbers don't add up. The numbers don't add up. Lives are at risk. Taxes are going to go up millions of dollars if we get rid of HVA. Now, to the board. I've heard many of you say that in the past, mistakes have been made. Thank you for taking accountability for those. I'm addressing you tonight. Please don't make another mistake. Some things can't be rolled back. I know that people have put out literature that has said that government exists to help people, that they enjoy putting public safety first, that transparency is not a mindset. These are the things that directly conflict with HVA. The residents here are saying they want HVA, or they want more numbers. Let's not vote on this yet, is what they're saying. Actually, I have Bob Dorshevit's card here that says he's listened very carefully to the thoughts and wishes of residents over the years. That's one of his key accomplishments. Thank you for that, Bob, and I appreciate you continuing to do that. His pledge actually says he will continue fighting the good fight, whether others stand with him or if he has to stand alone. That he will do his best to act with a pure heart, with honest motives, and show character and integrity. Thank you, Bob. I'm going to ask the board one more time to make the decision that the residents are asking you to make. Keep HVA. And can you please make this part of the public record? Thank you.
Is there anything for you to sign in?
Someone took the pen.
Oh, pens keep disappearing, eh?
Oh.
Take the whole thing.
Thank you. Good evening. Hello, my name is John Larkin. I want to introduce myself to the citizens of Plymouth, or citizens of Plymouth Township, as well as the board, and let you know a little bit about myself. I'm running for Wayne County Circuit Court Judge. I've been a practicing attorney here in Wayne County for the past 33 years, and I want you to know why I'm running for this job. I'm running for this job because it's the opportunity, it's the greatest opportunity to help people that you have available. One of the blessings I had as an attorney is I've been able to help people over the past 33 years solve all sorts of problems, whether it be keeping their job or helping them out of financial issues or keeping them out of jail. People need help, and that's what I've done for these past 33 years. Just a little bit about myself. I've been happily married for the past 28 years. I met my wife in law school. We have three children, 3 adult children that are sometimes darling, but otherwise sometimes not. We have 2 furry friends that we adopted. And I've been just a little bit more about me. I've been a practicing lifelong Catholic, but I believe in the separation of church and state. I believe that as a judge, I want you to know how I would take care of my issues. As a judge, there's kind of 2 different kind of judges. There's kind of like we know, like Judge Judy. We all seen her. She's really entertaining, but she's rude. She cuts people off. She treats people very poorly. I will not be that kind of judge. On the other side of that coin is Judge Caprio, for you who have seen him. The guy listens to people. He gets into their lives and tries to come up with a solution in the most difficult times that these people are going through. That's the kind of judge I'm going to be. I'm also going to be the kind of judge that protects the public. I don't believe in giving people second chances if they're dangerous, but at the same time, I want to met out individualized justice for everyone. I also want to point out I have a couple great endorsements. One of them is from Judge Drew, who's on the 35th District Court. This judgeship has nothing to do with 35th District Court. It's a completely different race. But I also want to point out that I have an endorsement from Kevin Bennett, who is a township attorney. He's a great gentleman. We've worked on at least 3 cases. He beat me twice. I won once. And he's a real gentleman. I really value his friendship. I ask that you look for Larkin on the ballot. There will be a primary, and there's 3 of us running. So look for Larkin and vote for Larkin. It's on August 6th. And I thank you for listening to me today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Darla. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, Johnny Toka, that lives on Newport Drive in Plymouth.
Darla, we need your last name too, please.
I'm sorry, LaForge.
Sorry.
Okay. This one, Jerry, is for you. I'm speaking for my mother, and she's lived in Plymouth since 1971. She was appalled to get the 2 pieces of mail that came to her house defaming the character of her daughter, Sandy Groth. After all that Sandy did to help you, Jerry, get elected, and to do your job for 3 years while you were ill, not available to do it yourself. Shame on you for trying to destroy a person who has always stood for the community and the citizens of this, that have always worked for the citizens and stood for the community. Sandy's actions have always been motivated by a sense of integrity and following laws. You know that. You worked with her. And anyone that knows her knows that to be true. For some reason, Jerry, God has given you more time to live. I would make sure that I use that time wisely.
Hello, my name is John Van Dyke. I'm not originally from Michigan, and we moved here into Michigan 32 years ago. And when we moved to Michigan, we didn't know Detroit or the suburbs, we didn't know one place from another. And we ended up buying a home in a place that wasn't right, for lack of a better word. And I'm not going to say where, because it just wasn't right. And the congestion and the traffic and so after a few years, we decided to move, and we spent 2 years trying to find the place that we would settle down and raise a family and have, a nice life. And so we looked at Plymouth, we looked at Northville, Livonia, Westland, Farmington Hills, all around here, Novi. And we kept narrowing it down, and we had criteria, the schools, the shopping, the neighborhoods, the crime, just a lot of different things. And we narrowed it down, the churches, the church we wanted to go to. But we kept narrowing it down, bit by bit by bit. And it got down to 2 areas, Northville or Plymouth. And we had a lot of criteria, and there were positive check marks and there were negative check marks. But the one thing that Northville had as a negative check mark was the gambling at the Northville Downs facility. We said, well, no, that's not good for us. That's not good for families. That's not good for us. And that swayed us to Plymouth. And here we are, 25 years later, having that haunt us again. We gave up the congestion up where we lived before, and now we have congestion coming into Plymouth. We want Plymouth to be a family place, a place where you can raise your family, where you can live safe, where you can teach your kids good morals, and you can teach raise your children. I have 2 children, they're now 29 and 35, and I'm gonna have two grandchildren. But this is not the future that this is looking at. So we have to have a solution to this Northville Downs catastrophe, and that must not include a facility in Plymouth Township.
Right.
Okay, we're going to move on to item F1. This is fiscal year 2024 budget amendments and 2023 carry forwards. We clock ready.
Thank you, esteemed board, for making the decision that data matters and that you need to take the time to research. Again, my name is Janai Stepp, and I've lived in this community for 25 years. Since 2018, Kurt Heise has said that the residents of Plymouth Township do not pay enough taxes. As he referenced our neighboring communities, Northville, City of Plymouth, and Canton Township, he noted that our taxes have historically been lower than them and should be raised up to those levels of those around us. In his vein, promises made, promises kept, that's exactly what he's done. He's already raised our taxes in this time frame of 40%, and that's just to start. While we are fighting inflation to put food on our tables, he is promoting inflation by continuing to increase our taxes with no end in sight. He's directed the vote for this treasurer to implement a 1% administration fee to pay your taxes. At his discretion, again, this treasurer agreed to that tax increase.
Yeah, this is becoming.
When Chuck Kermy made the motion to decrease taxes and eliminate this fee, this appointed treasurer used his discretion to keep it. He did not vote with Chuck Kermy to eliminate the tax. It still appears as a line item on your property tax bill. The current treasurer supports a tax to pay your taxes. Our tax money is still being wasted, though, through poor planning and a lack of due diligence on projects that are ill-conceived and reckless. We talked about that tonight, but we've identified that data is important. Let's use the example of the Lake Point Fire Station. After delaying 6 years and ignoring the Lake Point community's residents' concerns, now the board is, during an election year, blindly embarking on this project with no data and no course of action because they've already hired a firm. It's an architectural firm that they've agreed to pay 6.9% over the cost of the project. But what is the budget? We have an estimate. They're not being paid based on the quality or the timeliness or the satisfaction of the completion. That's just bad business. Lawyers who make these decisions belong in the courtroom, not in the boardroom. We need to stop the tax and spend cycle. We cannot afford this. I just saw the movie Independence Day since we just celebrated the 4th of July. Bill Pullman was a role of the president in the movie. Aliens are attacking the earth and trying to destroy all life on earth. Well, it's not quite the same thing, but the career politicians and the big money outsiders are attacking the way of life here in Plymouth Township. In order for our survival, I quote, "We are fighting for the right to live and to exist in Plymouth Township. We will not go quietly into the night, and we will not go without a fight." Residents of Plymouth Township, it's time to stand up and fight for your community. Stop the madness, stop the inflation, and stop this board. Thank you.
Since I was mentioned, I want to say something, because what she said was patently false. I do not have the discretion to set the administration fee. That is absolutely false. That's set by board resolution. Go look it up. It's false. It's not my discretion.
Okay, guys.
Thank you for bringing that
All right,
up, Bob. You are correct that it is an MC.
You're over your
He
time.
made a comment that I was false.
You're
Can I
wrong.
please
You don't
respond
know
to
how
this
it
question?
works.
This is not a political debate.
MCL.
There's been time for that. The next person.
Act two.
The next person could come up.
Bob, for clarification, if we move it down to 0.9 or 0.95, who makes that decision? The board doesn't usually, right?
We do it as part of the budget every year.
Part of the budget.
Okay, so it's part of the, that's when it's done. It's
Yeah.
part of the budget. That's what I'm trying to
And
understand.
it's based on the actual cost of the.
So we're at 0.95
Something
coming
like
up.
9.5 or 9.6, yeah.
It's adjusted because if we don't, then it's a violation.
Because
of
it can
both
only be
decisions.
used
You know what the
for
both decisions is?
treasurer and
No, you don't.
assessor.
And
Okay.
it is based on the
All right.
MCL 211.44, where the board decides to
Okay.
implement it. I'm still responding to his question.
yeah, but
it
this
is
is-
his
this is not- this is not the League of
discretion
Women
to go
Voters.
along with the vote
I know
of
what
the
you're trying
board.
to do.
So please don't say that I'm incorrect,
Board
because it was your
resolution.
discretion to vote
Okay,
with the
okay.
board to
Aren't you
implement
guys?
the vote.
Okay. All right,
To
next.
implement the fee.
3 minutes, please.
My name is Alex Wassel. I live in Heather Hills. I've been a resident of this beautiful community since 1999. I want to thank the board's vote on the HVA portion of the contract to delay it and to get it right. Now, I've been I'm a retired UAW member for the last 8 years, but before that, I was a dues-paying member for 44 years. And I was a delegate to the bargaining convention. I was also a trustee for a short time at my local. The important thing that you must know and consider is that union contracts have gone without, a union contract, it's a common practice to work without a contract while you're bargaining. So don't be worried that since you've come to a initial agreement that you have to sign on the dotted line. No, because I know plenty of contracts that the UAW leadership came to the membership, we rejected, we sent them back to the bargaining table. And I think that's the sense of what you're getting now. Now, I don't know who the attorney here represents. Was he representing us? Us, okay. Well, okay. Well, I can't say how good a bargainer he is, but I would get a second opinion.
Let's not do any personal attacks, okay?
It's not a
We've seen
personal
enough of that
attack.
tonight. Well, you're
It's just a
questioning his
feeling,
integrity
but
and his professionalism. So,
pardon me, I apologize.
All right.
Okay.
I mean,
so anyway, it's good that you're revisiting the issue. These are the people you represent. Okay, the people out in the audience, and they made themselves clear. So please revisit that issue, renegotiate that contract, sign a good deal that'll help the firefighters, the police, and the community. And I thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name's Andrew Miller. I talked earlier tonight. First off, I would like to thank you guys for postponing the decision so we can get more information. This year, tonight is kind of weird that we have low number of chairs. If possible, can we bring out the larger number of chairs so people don't have to sit on the floor during these meetings? One other thing before I get into my idea is, Bob, you said that we're supporting this electric car charger out here. I would say 95% of us owe our livings to the gasoline-powered car. I would suggest that we also get a subsidized gas station up front so that we can subsidize our livelihoods. We have been told that we need to keep the current board because of their experience. Looking at the election costs, we need new blood. The way we've always done it is costing us. Historically, election costs were a little over $100,000 per year. That increased to $300,000 in 2022, and in 2024, that's up to $600,000. I agree that the voting laws have increased the cost, but these costs are out of line compared to our neighbors. From the foyers that we looked at, we're twice as expensive cost dollars per vote compared to other neighboring areas when we're talking about early voting, and sometimes 4 to 5 times more expensive. Surely we can do better for managing our citizens' money. We need to work with other municipalities to develop a best practice to reduce costs while maintaining services. One expense that stands out this year is $50,000 that we spend at the Church of the Risen Christ, where Jerry's wife goes. Yes, the church needs some added income. Most churches do. Maybe we should have a lottery for the next year to see who can get this grant. Even crazier, maybe we should have competitive bid process to award the contract. But spending $50,000 for an off-site center to collect 400 votes seems to be a bit expensive. With more people utilizing the mail-in ballots, we no longer need 12 distinct voting locations. In the Detroit elections where I've worked, it is common to have 4 precincts and 1 gymnasium. In addition to saving the rent, special equipment was shared and further reducing costs. Also, In addition, the Michigan legislature has authorized the consolidation of precincts for non-primary elections, further saving costs. For example, in our primary votes. This brings me to the last subject where Jerry wants to have an off-site voting counting facility. That is so wrong in so many ways. One is it's going to be expensive, and more importantly,
Your time is up. Your time is
we
up.
learned from TCF
Gotta play
that
by the
we
rules.
need to have open and fair counting.
Okay, thank you.
You want to sign it again? Okay, Bill Pine, 46-year resident. I'm here to talk today about the deluge of Kurt's giant postcards and scams. When I first started getting the postcards, I wondered what the common element was. Then I remembered Kurt scamming a group of us older veterans at the friendship station and realized that the cards are all a part of a scam being run by Kurt on township residents. A scam starts with an element of truth and then goes on to whatever the scammer thinks they can get away with. This scam card talks to trustees. It says they want us to be active in our, they need to be active in our community and have the education, commitment, and life experiences to make good decisions, which is absolutely true. It also says that they're outstanding candidates, common sense leaders with no drama, which is great, who are on his team, which is the scam. Kurt's criteria for the membership in his team appears to be that his trustees will be completely under his control, as he allegedly bragged to the Northville Downs folks in October 2022, as described in detail on page 5 of the Northville Downs lawsuit, which is available on the Stop the Racetrack website. The criteria, objective criteria, need to be time as a township resident, applicable professional technical experience, practical application of that experience, deep commitment and history with the township, looking forward into the future, independence and integrity. Because of that, it sounds like you're almost making an endorsement for the people who are not on your team, Kurt. This scam card talks about promises made, promises kept, which is a great aspiration. The scam on the front is that Kurt says it's for the township taxpayers, because it's not. It's really for his out-of-town donors who are contributing because he's either done something for them or getting ready to do so. Myers, the big bosses of unions, builders, other outside businesses, wealthy Superior Township residents, and most troubling, Northville Downs and their attorney Mike Cox, who Kurt called a close friend in his podcast last week. But in the same podcast, Kurt said it's always all about the money, so it actually makes sense. The back of this card has so many scams I don't have to talk about all of them. The most efficient way to address them is that there is a lot of dust being thrown in the air by Kurt to distract from his actual performance. However, the overarching scam is that he's turning the township around and leading a cultural change at Township Hall. He was elected 8 years ago to get rid of a previous township official, now deceased, who was a bad actor. About 2.5 months ago, I personally watched Kurt, along with hundreds of other people, scream at and threaten the older lawyer for Salem Township in his surgical neck brace at a state meeting regarding the waste treatment plant at Northridge Church. The older fellow's transgression was that he exposed the fact that Kurt had helped cause the waste treatment plant problem. A video of him doing that and then smiling after he'd done so is actually widely available online today. The scam is he doesn't say what direction he's turning the township around to and whether the culture change is better or worse. The actual assessment of these two considerations is that Kurt is actually worse than the previous official he was elected to get rid of and is causing a cultural change in our community, which will be devastating if not corrected.
I'm up already. Oh, okay. This time. Okay.
Hello, Howard Hamrick again. Good evening to all. As a Plymouth Township voter of over 25 plus years, I have not witnessed so many one-sided personal attacks in the media, campaign literature, and on social media. I view this type of innuendo, bullying, mis and disinformation, insulting and demeaning to our community. Where is diversity, equity, and inclusion? Or just plain old-fashioned civility? We've not had elections like this in the past. I've seen many of you run before. I've voted for many of you. I'm sorry to say, this has degraded into a very, very sad situation. This behavior is from a slate that is running scared from its own record. You should have been protecting home value, improving quality of life, addressing voter concerns, standing up against big money interests. Other communities know how to do it. What they do to the state with M5 for years and years and years. Don't tell me it can't be done. Oakland County knows how to do it. Maybe you should go there and visit them. Protecting our most valuable asset, our taxable land, which is getting smaller and smaller every day. Stop the giveaways. You should be carefully dissecting each planning request with due diligence, well-documented safety, traffic, infrastructure, and environmental impact without the usual, we saw it again today. I thought this was new business, but I guess it's just plain old business again. We will get back to you on that. Upon very limited review of the voting records in this particular region, it is clear we are not your grandfather's Republican voting community. We are a learned independent voting electorate. Some Democratic candidates feel it's time for a change. They will get their opportunity in November because they're unopposed. This August 6th, I urge my fellow voters in this community to vote in a Republican primary and oust the slate. The question is, you sell living here, not them. Are you happier living here today than you were a few years ago? Northville residents certainly are happy. They got rid of the track and they got $30 million in bank thanks to that. As Delbert said in the cartoon character, change is good. And it's time for a change on August 6, 2024. Thank you for your attention. I guess all you guys know me. I've been trashed, probably next to Mr. Kermey, and the only office I'm running for is precinct delegate, so I don't know why. But anyways, I tried to talk about this last time, but my phone decided to ring. Kurt Heise is harassing and intimidating Kermey voters. He posted the following, which is far from the truth. I quote, Kurt Heise, it's all about the desperate campaign is left. Voter intimidation and intimidation of First Amendment free speech rights. Let us know when they come for you. Get and retain their phone numbers. Get their name and phone numbers and pass it along to me. We will alert the Attorney General. On the same day, Mr. Heise harassed and intimidated a Kermey supporter who happens to be a friend of mine. His unsolicited text message the other day after he did a stalker drive-by and questioned my Kermey sign in my yard, turned into a volley of messages back and forth I found rather unbecoming of a leader of Plymouth Township. It's obvious he's been infected with dirty money and now realizes his job is on the line. So he's grasping for straws with intimidation and bully tactics. He unfriended me on Facebook and blocked me after I hurt his feelings. He's rude to residents, tells people to shut up during public meetings, doesn't open us up to litigation with the residents on the hook for his bad decisions. I can't believe I stood out in the rain with an A-frame begging residents to vote for him by making him write a write-in candidate because they couldn't fill out the form completely to begin. So he's also been harassing some of my neighbors. And then evidently years ago, here's one of his police reports. He was going up the porches and throwing off his opponent's literature and replacing it with his. That's only one of the police reports that I found in the police department here. Thank you.
What the hell that was?
Thank you for the support on HVA.
No, I can't.
I just have a quick question. So who put in the contract, the union contract, the HVA recommendation to get rid of HVA? Was that the union that put that forth?
That's.
Fire chief, right?
No.
So what's the origin
First of
of
all,
it?
this is a collective bargaining agreement that is negotiated by the parties, and we consult with the board and through our attorney in a closed session, and, and we're not going there.
It's just a fair question to understand the origin of something. That's all that was.
The parties.
It's a fair question to ask the origin of something.
Who do you think, maybe? Maybe it was the union, maybe,
I was just questioning the origin. I don't understand how these contracts come about, so it's a fair question.
Contracts are negotiated in good faith by the parties when they have a lawyer at the table too, and, we've been negotiating with them
So it's
for
a
months.
lawyer, their lawyer, and then you, and then is there anyone else in that meeting? Who else is in?
Okay, so it's usually 4 or 5 members of the bargaining team for the union and their attorney. It's usually me, the chief, and our attorney for the township.
That's what I was just wondering. And then just as a side note, words spoken and written, they need to be truthful. So it's been a really problem election. I have never seen the likes of what has come into my home on handouts. Atrocious, actually. Shameful. For people to say such things about other people who have very good reputations and who have worked diligently for this township for a number of years. And I think it's pretty sad to try to win by any means necessary, because that's what I'm seeing. We win a fair election fairly by the issues, and we don't belittle people to get to the end that we desire. It's not right. And another thing, we're not voting for a slate. So just so all of you know, we're voting for individuals. Plymouth Township residents are very intelligent people. They're not voting for a slate. So just to clarify that, you're all being weighed individually for your positions based on your performance for the residents.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Schultz. I spoke earlier. When the election season first started off, I received a letter from Mr. Heise reminding us, all the candidates, about the sign ordinances, election sign ordinances. And yet I see that if I made a mistake and placed some of my signs in public right-of-ways, it seems that someone from the township has picked them up and brought them to the DPW yard. Yet they won't touch several of your guys' signs that are in public right-of-ways and bring them to the DPW yard. Apparently, my signs go there, but yours don't. And there's many, many of your signs.
Because you have more illegal signs up than all of us put together, sir.
Excuse me?
And we know that. You have more illegal signs than everybody else put together. So are we, come on, man.
Well, why don't we have, why isn't
that mean? How mean?
Why isn't your ordinance officer pulling your signs up? And Mr. Vorbus?
Because ours are probably put the right way.
And Ms.
No. You're not going to attack me on that.
Go look, who put them up?
No, they are not on any illegal property.
And we ask permission too. We ask permission too. You don't.
Maybe you're not aware that
you don't. You don't.
Sir, I
Your
can tell
junk's
you
everywhere.
from experience that my friend next door here called me personally to tell me that some of my signs, I'm a newbie to this, that some of my signs were put in the wrong place. I immediately went out myself and pulled them.
And if you have those locations, then please tell me, because.
Take a picture.
Let me know.
Definitely will.
I'll take them off, because I've been very diligent making sure that nothing has been on, against the ordinance.
Well, it's just funny that, the ordinance officers, you're not collecting those signs, but you're collecting ours. So maybe we should have the ordinance officer do his job.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not done yet.
Oh.
There's been threats and intimidation and election interference going on, and it's unwanted by a lot of residents in the community, some who are running for office. And I think really should put an end to it, whoever that is, because there are several high-profile attorneys keeping a good eye on this. So please, no threats, no intimidation, and no election interference wherever that's coming from. Thank you.
Okay.
I take it this is movable?
Yep.
Never knew.
Speak into it.
I will. Loud enough? Yes. Kurt, you have stated in the podcast, Mary Pine, that you're a strong supervisor. However, the fact of the matter is that you yourself have only one vote on the board. This explains the maneuvering you do to obtain obviously compliant hand-picked board members. Is your PAC funding other candidates' campaign expenses? In that vein, you have also appointed the current treasurer who was not elected after Mark Clinton's stroke and a trustee who was not elected. A reasonable concern is that with multiple common knowledge health problems from your team, are you conniving to put others who would not be electable in these roles if there are resignations, such as your economic development coordinator who threatened to put something besides the racetrack in that would make you cry and to fill up all the green space? That is a disturbing and unacceptable thought. Have you tried to influence the treasurer candidate from running? Having been transparent about the 11 years I've been recovering from an acquired brain injury and neurosurgery, not to be a quadriplegic from being rear-ended, I have to wonder if you are taking advantage of anyone. Also, the fire department and HVA came to our rear end accident. No comments for HVA. Long letter to the fire department. I was knocked out. Pragmatically speaking, your team and your ability to direct their decisions and those of the planning consultant and the planning commission leave little room for confidence that the resident choices would stay the course. Pragmatically speaking, your inability to do the database analysis and benchmarking leaves no confidence in the justifiability of your decisions. Pragmatically speaking, the running of our township involves non-partisan issues. Residents choose to live in Plymouth Township for the wholesome family community with green space, low traffic, low crime. Your non-transparent project, disregarding zoning and master plan, have wreaked havoc and generated a $10 million lawsuit. We do not need any more maneuvering of self-serving politicians. We do not need problem creators. We need problem solvers who think, analyze data, plan ahead for the future, and make transparent decisions with integrity for our family community. This person will respect the honest and sincere work of township employees doing their jobs without games and manipulation, and has the integrity not to be questioned on intent. Pragmatically speaking, I ask the residents to prioritize our family community, the one you chose, so that it will still exist. Because this is a primary vote, one can only vote one party and not split the ticket. By voting Republican and not voting for Heise and his team, you are choosing a path with integrity to preserve our family community. In November, partisan issues can be addressed. Chuck Kermey, Andrew Miller, Janai Stepp, Sandy Groth, John Stewart, Dan Callahan, and Paul Schultz understand the value of this community. Thank you.
Gary Smith, President of Plymouth Township. I have a couple of questions on the negotiations of this contract. Whose briefs was the HVA in?
What?
When they were exchanging briefs for that contract, whose had the HVA? Was it the township or was it the fire department?
I don't know what you're talking about.
They were not in the negotiations. HVA was not part of the negotiations.
I know, but it was brought up in the negotiations.
What was?
So HVA, because it's in the contract.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted it. Who wanted it? Was it the fire department or was it the township?
Well, things are brought up at the table by both sides, economic and non-economic.
Whose side brought it up?
It's part of the collective bargaining process. It's not done because it's not
It's a
done in
yes
the
or no
street.
question.
Because it's confidential, because it's part of the negotiating process.
It's not confidential.
Yeah, it is.
Once it's brought on the table, it's there. I negotiated union contracts.
Good for you. Okay, so have I.
Good for you.
Okay, so I don't know why you're so angry. I mean,
I'm not angry. I'm just asking.
If you know how the contracts are negotiated, then you know that they are done, frankly, behind closed doors. That's why we meet in closed session to go over those contracts, which we did.
We bring it back to the body to let them know what they want.
And we went back to the body today and we decided to postpone it. I mean,
it was already in a contract.
It's a tentative agreement. It's a draft. I mean, you should know that if you've negotiated contracts. Come on.
You're lost.
Good try.
You don't want to
Nice
answer
try.
a question.
Nice try. Okay. All right. Are we all set? Are we all set now? Okay. All right. So don't flip me the bird, sir. That's not appropriate. Okay. Board comments. I'm just going to throw it up if anybody wants to say anything.